Well, Jeb Bush has a problem. Apparently, it's not Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, even Marco Rubio. It turns out it's his own brother, and that's according to his own brother. George W. Bush says that maybe the American people feel that they've had enough Bushes in the White House. But isn't name recognition a heck of a lot more valuable than Bush fatigue or any other family fatigue there is? Andrew, in that the whole debate, yes, you know, some people say American political dynasties, and it's certainly not just the Bushes and Clintons. Please, I mean, we look at some state governments, right? But at the end, name recognition, they'd all love to have it, because instantly the name, if it appears in the ballot, they'll at least connote it with somebody else. Or would Jeb Bush down deep say, I wish neither Pappy or my brother here had the same job I want?
I think in most cases, you would want to have the name recognition if you were, you know, I was going to use a name I shouldn't use it, but I mean, if your name happened to be the same as some terrible person in history, no, you probably don't want that name recognition. And, you know, I think there is a lot of Bush fatigue. I don't know if Jeb Bush wouldn't still be a front runner for the Democratic nomination if only his father had been president, but it's that aftertaste from his brother's presidency.
We have someone here who can answer that question. What is it like being Jimmy Carter's son? You're not answering that question.
I'm speechless.
There we go.
I'm speechless.
It's a double-edged sword.
Well, do you think it helped Andrew Cuomo?
Oh, I don't think Andrew Cuomo would have been. I mean,
But history remembered Mario Cuomo in a much better light. Same thing with Bill Clinton helping Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton is remembered in a much better light than George W. Bush is. And George W. Bush is still fresh. It's only 7 years ago.
And Richard, let's be honest. I like President Bush, the son, but as soon as you say his name, what's the next thing that comes up? Iraq. No weapons of mass destruction. And if we're going to be honest about it, if you can say this in a nice way about a former president, the second word that comes up is intellect. And these are all issues that Jeb Bush is going to have to overcome.
The interesting thing is Bush was the kid who was supposed to be the president, not
Jeb.
George.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out that way. He's the smartest of the children. He's a thoughtful guy. I think in the end, none of this will matter because his politics are. Imagine this in the spectrum of Republican Party politics, he's a moderate, and that's going nowhere.
Well, I think if you took the first names away and you just asked people Bush or Clinton, you're going to get far more people saying Clinton than saying Bush. It's just the hangover from his administration is still there.
Hillary helped, obviously, by her husband's legacy, but there are certainly times, you know, where it's such a shadow that it's. I think they sometimes overcompensate to try and distance themselves from whether it's sibling, spouse, parent, whatever the case may be. I think it's human nature, but I know we're tight on time. I want to ask you a question. Harry Reid obviously has announced he's not running for re-election, and he certainly hasn't been biting his tongue. He's called Republicans losers in the past week. He called Mitch McConnell a lump of coal. How liberating is it when you know you don't have another campaign?
It's especially liberating when the truth is a complete defense. So,
what's your excuse?
We got to build up your ego. No, but my point though is when you know you don't have to make another fundraising call, when you know you don't have to run again.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Because you always said it.
Yeah. That maybe why I could have raised some more money if I had been more compliant. I never got into the business with the notion that the first thing you do in the morning is figure out who not to offend.
No one's accused you of that either, but has there ever been a thought cross your mind that if I don't have to run again, man, would I like to light this guy up right on the floor? Or just say so,
No.
you never have to couch
No.
it because you never had to.
I mean, I feel differently than Richard, I think, but I don't. It's not like you carry around this profound hatred of people. Politics is very much about getting over it, in my opinion. You know, you hate them today, and you remember tomorrow, but tomorrow you got to do a bill with them. So, you know, you have to get over it. It's very much a resilient operation.
Very diplomatic. Very diplomatic. Until you learn how to lose. And I think that we're saying the same thing in a certain kind of way. And if you spend your time nursing grudges, you get nowhere.
We have certainly seen in this country growing divide between have and have-nots, but there's also been a perceptible vilification of the folks on the bottom part of the economic rung. And if you think it's just language, you're not paying attention, because in Kansas, they are cracking down on welfare recipients by banning people for how they're spending their money, including on things like concerts. The question is, should, if the public is basically writing the checks for these folks, be able to say how they should and shouldn't be able to spend the money? We'll talk about that after this.